tell me what's your band's name?
Musical Blades.
Musical Blades. Now, is this like a daily thing that I'm talking like a pirate day, dress like this?
Talk like Pirate Day. That's our national holiday.
That's right.
So we got to do this. This is our big day.
But this is how you dress for every event.
We wake up in the morning and put our pirate clothes.
Everybody in the office dress like this every day.
Right.
That is fantastic. So how long has your band been together?
Approximately 13 years, 14 years.
Is that right? So how long have you three been together now?
Probably, you've been in the group almost a year now. You've been in the group for a couple of years. Yeah, 3 years.
Okay. So you've been...
I'm the old guy.
Join the club because I'm the old guy here too. Hey, that sounds fantastic. Tell me, where are you guys playing this weekend?
Tonight we're playing at Harris Voodoo Lounge at Harris Casino. And it's our big show. We got our CD release party, and we got a whole bunch of different people.
Chance the Arm is opening.
Chance the Arm. Yeah.
Well, there you have it right there. And then what kind of music can people anticipate hearing when they hear it?
It's kind of a folk, rock, comedy.
Pirate?
Pirate. So you gotta come out and see it.
Hi, I'm Danny, and what the Blades mean to me is just, I remember the first time I experienced the Blades was when my then boyfriend, now husband, had just left to join the Army, and my friends brought me to Renaissance Fair to kind of, up my mood, get my mind off that. And that was the first time I ever watched a Blade show. And just fell in love with the music, their energy. They were amazing people. They, joked around with me afterwards. And then it just kind of continued to grow from there. Went to my first club show at Firebird. And, just getting to know all of the guys, all of their significant others. I feel like that was just really cool and unique experience. And they're just all super genuine, real people. And not that they knew the specifics of a lot of stuff that I was going through mentally, but their music and them as people really helped me through hard times. Oh my God. And I just love these guys so much, and I'm going to miss seeing them at fair and miss coming to their shows and saying hi and hugging them and hugging their spouses and significant others and, just seeing their lives more personally like that. And I love them so much. I love you guys, and I'm gonna miss you.
One question for you. It's National Talk Like a Pirate Day, but you guys haven't sounded like a pirate at all.
Are you having problems understanding my pirate accent?
That is your pirate accent. It's authentic, is what it is.
We're modern day pirates.
So do you incorporate that in part of the act too? Usually making fun of people.
We never know what we're doing in an act, to be honest. It's kind of fly by the seat of your pants all the time.
We got a loose script that we go by and everything.
Very loose.
Well, I tell you what, when you show up tonight, make sure that you are ready for a good time, because these guys are fabulous. Thank you guys so much. It's so nice to meet you guys, and can't wait to listen to you guys.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Every single step, every time we've brought somebody in, it's brought something else in to the Blades. So it's always kept that core part of the Blades, but bringing somebody else in has always stepped it up a little bit into something else, and we always felt like we had something to prove.
In the night, and you will feel our cold steel bite. You will feel our cold steel bite. No one will hear your beat. We'll keep you down the doors, make home. There's nowhere left for you to run. Nowhere left for you to run. Let's go to the 7th Street. On the loose until they spring. Who knows the terror we will bring? Who knows the terror we will bring? We'll take just what we need. Now turn the bow. Mercy we shall not allow. Mercy we shall not allow. The scourge of the 7th Sea.
The rest of these rest of these jerks are laughing about the fact that this couple, this happy couple, this loving couple, just got married. Right? So they're all standing outside with all of their friends and family and loved ones all around them, getting ready to, begin their journey with their new life with each other, right?
Got it.
And I waited, like a gentleman.
Like you do.
For everybody to get out in the procession to come out, and I just kind of stood there and I smiled and nodded at everybody. Everybody made it out. That was good. Everybody set up, and I very casually walked up to the bride and the groom, and I looked at the groom, and Bill, come here.
Did you talk to me?
And you're going to be the groom. You're going to be the stand-in for the groom, okay? So I casually walked up to the bride and the groom, and I put out my hand, and the guy kind of slowly took my hand in his, like this in shake formation, and I said, I'd like to be the first to bless this union. Have a nice wedding. I'm sure it was beautiful. I'm sure it was a beautiful reception. Have a nice life together. Best of wishes. And then I turned around and came into the hotel. It's cool, I got to wish him, be the first one to wish him a happy life together.
That story,
Cool,
Jared.
No, hang
like
on.
a trip to
Branson. Did you actually just walk up and stand in line and congratulate
No,
them?
there was no line. They were all just kind of milling around and standing around. And
So you just walked into a group of the wedding and
The
just
lollygagging.
congratulated the groom out of nowhere.
Well, no, I wasn't in the middle. I mean, it was outside. It was outside the lobby of the hotel. Like they were, when you drive up, they were all standing right there.
Why can this band not crash weddings? Like,
And I just walked up and I was like, I'd like to be the first one to bless this union. And I'm sure it was a beautiful wedding. Sure it was a beautiful reception.
listen, I don't care how many times you tell the story, it's not true.
Best wishes on your union, on your partnership, on your wedding, on your life together.
Tell it again and use kid as the stand-in.
Right, try it again. Run the story
One more
again.
time.
Run the story again. Kid, go be that groom.
I want to be the groom.
Fine,
You know what? You stand up,
you get to be the bride.
What was the bride doing during this fascinating story?
Standing there going,
Who is this guy?
Right. Which makes sense because they don't know who you are.
no, they don't.
You just walked up like
It's nice. It's nice to be able
Hey,
to just go up,
was-
extend friendship.
That's not nice. That's not nice. It's creepy. It's creepy as shit, man.
It's not creepy.
it was a nice gesture.
It was a nice gesture.
It was a nice
Done in a
gesture.
very
It was a
creepy way.
nice gesture. Hey, you know what?
I would have called you a crazy shitbag, but
If more, I think if more people
We're crazy.
just
Walk off the
went up to perfect strangers on their blessed day and wished them a happy
I think
life,
the jails would be much more full.
and wished them a happy life, paying it forward.
Here's the thing.
Paint it
that I
forward.
love about this band. There are now multiple people in many cities who have weird-ass pirate-related stories about weddings. Musical Blades.
All of them.
Making it happen.
All of them.
full circle. Full circle.
Paying
You
it
are
forward.
welcome.
We're paying it forward. Just like the movie, paying it forward.
Was it
On the next
important
step.
to you that the guys in the band be friends, or do you think that was natural?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I think friendship is the ultimate part of it. If we were getting together and we hated each other outside of the band, there wouldn't be a band.
People have said that the Blades are more of a family than a band. Do you think that's because they genuinely care about each other?
No, I totally agree. I mean, because I retired 25 years ago, and then I started a band, and it's gone for 25 years. So if it wasn't a family, if it wasn't a band, if it wasn't people that could get together outside of the band and do stuff, I wouldn't want the band. now we're retiring, so.
There are stars in the southern sky, southward as you go. There is moonlight and moss in the trees, down the seven bridges roll.
My name is Ed Miller, better known in the Blades as the Dr. Reverend Mr. Cheeks. That's a bit of a long story. Ask me a fair sometimes, and I'll give you the whole spiel about how that came about. There's a lot. I'm still known today as Cheeks Miller. Some of you that are watching this may know me from Cheeks in Phoenix, the act with my wife. Hopefully, some of you still know me from my time in the Blades. 2008. I was at a little fair in Joplin with my then stage combat group. And there was this group of pirates there who were singing. And I'm like, wow, these guys are pretty good. So I sat for a couple shows. I talked to them afterwards. Went back to another couple shows in between our shows because, sometimes we were bucked up against each other. There was one point in the weekend where they were just out in the lanes, just kind of hanging out and singing some stuff. And I walked over and kind of started singing with them, and that was a good time. And everybody was like, hey, that's cool, sweet, But anyway, weekend finished. We said our goodbyes. We went our way. I did connect to them through their Yahoo group. Anybody else actually remember Yahoo groups? I mean, it's been a while. And then later that same year, Albert put up a post that their tenor was leaving and that they were going to be auditioning new people. So I sent him an email and I said, hey, I don't know if you remember me. We met in Joplin, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he's like, yes, we do remember you, but we also remember that you're in Tulsa. And we would like to find somebody local. And I'm like, that is perfectly reasonable. But keep my name in the back of your mind. If you can't find anybody, let me know. Fast forward a couple months later after that, I got another email from Albert. Basically said, we haven't really found anybody. Do you want to come up and audition? And if it works, we'll figure out what we're going to do. I'm like, sure. So January 2nd, I get in the car, roll up to Kansas City from Tulsa, do the audition. The chemistry's great. It feels great. Things gel. They asked me if I wanted to join the band. I said yes. The end result was I would drive up every other weekend and we would do these marathon rehearsal sessions. Basically, they would work while I wasn't there. I made tapes so that I could rehearse so that it wasn't a complete train wreck. As far as I know, I'm the only member of the band who was ever non-local. It does make things difficult, but we made it work for 4 years and it was really good.
Now I have loved you like baby, like some lonesome child, and I have loved you in the same way, and I have loved you
I had gotten there early one weekend. It was just Albert and I sitting in the office talking about things and going through some lyric books that I had brought. I have a shelf full of pirate songs and shanties and things like that. And we found the lyrics to this one song and we worked out a chord progression. Albert worked out a melody, and this was just a temporary chord progression because all I really needed to do was show George what I'd done, and then George would do his thing and it would be better. And it was. So anyway, the rest of the guys show up. By the time they show up, we have most of the arrangement in place. And it fell out pretty quickly, and we had a song for the new album that you may be familiar with called Demon of the Sea. That's how that song got written. It was really fun, a really memorable time for me, because a lot of times songwriting is not that easy. This one, it just happened. I will say that the guys that were in the band at the time, we fit together really well. Everything would come together and it would just tend to gel. The other rehearsal story that I can tell, because there's a lot of these I can't tell, had to do with how the harmonica got incorporated into some of this stuff. We were doing a song called Sail Away, which again, hopefully some of you are familiar with. It was a little different back then. The arrangement was quite a bit different, and I had reached down into my bag and grabbed my harmonica without anybody seeing it, and we got to the end of the first chorus, and I just pulled up the harmonica and started playing. Got to do that, and I stopped, and there was this pause, and I was like, uh-oh, they hated it, they're going to kick me out of the band. And then everybody's like, that was great, let's do it again. And that's kind of how that started. And then it started playing the drum later, to, just to add some percussion, things like that. Yeah, those are probably the only two stories I can really tell safely without getting all of us in trouble.
Sometimes there's a part of me that can turn from here and go, running like a child from these warm stars down the seven bridges road.
There is one road story that I want to tell, though, that happened at Pirate Fest in St. Louis. I can see the look on Albert's face now. He knows exactly where I'm going and is probably wishing I wouldn't tell this story. So we had some longtime fans, parents and their daughter. They were at Fest. Their daughter had just turned 21. They were up at the bar drinking. Now, this was a cold day. And for those of you that are familiar with Captain Patch doesn't own very many shirts, but in this particular day, he had one on because, well, it was cold. And we went up to the pub. We were singing some songs and people were tipping, and the parent, the mother of said child, said, "How much to get Patch to take his shirt off?" And Chewy turns around and says, "Well, for $20, he'll give you a lap dance." She pulls out a 20, pulls over a bench, and plops down her just turned 21-year-old daughter. Chewy turns around, looks at Albert, and says, "Patch, give her a lap dance." Deer in the headlights. Wait, what? And Chewy says, "Okay, look. She said, how much to get you to take your shirt off? I said, for $20, he'll give you a lap dance. This is a 20, dance." So we're all laughing. Albert does his thing. It's all fun. Yeah. And then she says, "How much for the whole band?" And somebody, I don't remember who, it may have been Dave, it may have been said, $50. And so, boom, $50. So I'm like, okay, well, that was, so now we're all supposed to give her lap dances, which is interesting. 5 pirates trying to lap dance without lap dancing. And, 4 pirates and 1 parrot who didn't want to have anything to do with it and just kind of wiggled his pigtails. It was a lot of fun. And then later, we're down at the Revel for the end of the day, and the entertainment director walks up to me, and I'm like, hi, Bob. And he's like, "So, I hear you were giving lap dances at the pub today." I said, maybe? And he pauses, and he's like, "Sorry, I missed that." That's how St. Louis went. That story will never leave. That memory will never go away for many, many, many reasons.
There are stars in the southern sky, and if ever you decide you should go, there is a taste of time, sweet as honey, down the seven bridges road.
take that video.
Right.
That was probably
That the ever you decide part we really need to work on. It's all at once. It's not just, it's not you. It's all at once.
what you're doing. You're going. And if ever you decide, I didn't do YouTube. And if ever because I'm doing that part. Decide, you should go. You do that. Yeah, because I'm up on the top. Normally, I fully admit I wimped out right there.
I know, and I gave him a you fucking.
I know. I did. Because he didn't have it. I was like,
You don't hear the ball.
and if ever you decide, you should go. Let's do that part again. Yeah. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3.
I will say that this band did take me to stages I never thought I'd stand on. Some that we never thought of, like, say, the Iowa Sweet Corn Festival. That was an interesting gig. It was a fun gig, don't get me wrong, but we were kind of a fish out of water, but the crowd dug it, and it was all right. It turned out to be really fun, and they loved it, and it was cool, but it was one of those times where you're like, what the heck are we doing here? The other notable stage, of course, would be the first couple of times we played the Voodoo Lounge. If you'd have told me before I joined the band, or even in the band, that a bunch of scurvy pirates were going to be headlining the Voodoo Lounge at Harris Casino at any time, I would have said, you're crazy. And yet, here we are. So yeah, it did take me, it also took me all over the country, took me to places I hadn't been, took me places I had been. We got to perform with a lot of different groups, which is always fun.
There are stars in the southern sky, and if ever you decide, you should go.
It was a little weird because you weren't used to doing it, but you did.
Try it one more time. But now I know he's going to go up and I don't need to go up on
Right.
I didn't bring that much pain medication.
So we'll take it from the top.
Bring the rafters from that part.
Okay.
I don't have it.
Just from that part.
We're doing just the last part. Alright.
I left the band for medical reasons. I had some severe pain issues. And if you've seen the Blade show, which, again, if you're watching this, hopefully you've seen a Blade show. It's a high energy show. It requires a lot of energy. And I had gotten to the point where I couldn't give the energy to this show and to the group that they needed. So I decided to step away. I did later, as I mentioned before, form Cheeks and Phoenix with my wife, which is a much more laid back show. But anyway, that's why I ended up leaving the band after 4 years. Probably my only real regret. I didn't want to leave the band. It was, nobody wants to leave a successful project, but it happens. I learned a lot in those 4 years. I had been a performer for some time before then, but when you're in a project like this, you always will learn something. You should learn something from every project. But in this case, when you're on stage with a group of other guys and you're in sync, and not the band, but you know what I mean. You're doing the thing, and most of what you're doing is improv. You learn a lot. You learn to watch people. You learn to watch your stage mates. You learn to watch the crowd so that you can play on that. And those 4 years doing that weekend after weekend, because we did a lot of weekends, you can't help but get better at what you do. And so, that's probably what the most is just learning more about improv, learning more about reading a crowd.
2, 3. There are stars in the southern sky, and if ever you decide, you should go.
I will say this, I'll probably regret it, Albert, but Albert is one of the best people I've ever met for reading a crowd and feeling out the crowd when they're not buying what you're selling and being able to call an audible on the fly. So I learned a lot watching him do that. I freely admit it. I'll never admit it again, but now you have it on video, so I'm caught. Anyway, guys, enjoy the rest of this. It's been a fun ride. I'm sure the rest of the series will be a fun ride too. Thanks.
There is a taste of time, sweet as fun, down the seven bridges road.
If we can do it that good, all right.
What did you love about their music?
The thing I love most about their music is just the energy, the chemistry, the amazing talent that these guys have. You just see it in every single thing that they do. Their musicianship, watching Doss up there just doing that guitar solo, like, oh my god.
But overall, I mean, how could you ask? You had a great venue. You had great sounding lines. You had the fans were just packing the place, and they wanted us to have fun.
All right, you guys ready to get your pirate on? All right.
And they wanted to have fun with us.
Yes.
Yep. And so I think that's where we were too.
And we're playing music with our friends.
Right. Yeah.
You guys.
How exciting is that?
Although I gotta say, probably the coolest part for me was seeing Artie in the front row, knowing every single word to every song. It's like
every single
the next generation is already on us.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
We spoiled them already.
Yeah.
Well, and that had to be really powerful for Ryan too.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. And to see Mace and Kathy there too. I mean, just the whole family getting to be there, and looking around and seeing everybody's significant other or everybody's friends and family members that were there to encourage. But there was a magic tonight, guys.
There was the entire night.
I
All
wanted.
those bands are good.
I wanted 3 things out of tonight, and I think I can safely say we achieved them all.
Which were?
1, I wanted to make, all of our families that were there
our families, you know, and our friends who are family. I wanted to make them happy and proud about what we did tonight. 2, of course, I wanted to give the, you know, the fans a great send off, you know, for us and all that. But I wanted to have all of us put on the best show that we could possibly put on for our last show. And 3, I wanted to have that bar rose really high for everybody to go, I was there that night, I saw that happen, and I'll never forget it.
One thing I noticed was when they shoot the lights across the crowd, of course it was such a full crowd anyway, which was great, but so many smiles. Just people were legitimately in joy. They were enraptured in joy, and it's like, we're doing this together, you know? It's so,
I'm going to throw one more thing on what you were saying, though, about one thing I wanted from this show. I wanted to walk away from it feeling like we gave Al especially the best possible send-off for his baby.
Yeah, true that.
I want to just make sure you walked off there going, I can't think of a better way for this to have closed out.